Welcome to SuperCoach and welcome to another player profile. We're going to take a look at a fella who I must admit isn't in my team at the minute, but he's certainly well in the conversation. It's Josh Dunkley. He's a very popular player at the minute. I'm seeing him in a lot of teams and he follows that mould of a youngster that's on the rise and been given the opportunity late in the season through the midfield, and he certainly thrived. So we're going to take a look at a few of those numbers very shortly, but clearly he's a guy that is in a lot of people's radars in a lot of teams too. Now, you'll have to pay big money for him, $516k. He is a midfield and forward. Now, obviously, overall, he did average the 95.1, but those numbers are a little bit juicier in the second half of the season. So, he's 23, played the 43 games. Of course, he's been used as more of a forward for the majority of his career. Obviously, in that 2016 season, he was outstanding. He's sort of 190 centimetres, tall enough, very good one-on-one. He's even been thrown in the ruck at times, but we've seen his footy, well, not his best football, but most of his football as a forward, just by the situation the Dogs were in and fellow midfielders in the team. You often got to do a bit of an apprenticeship elsewhere, and that's what Dunkley has done. But late last year, in particular, the last 9 to 10 games, he was influential running through the midfield. Now, he spent a month in the VFL mid-season, so rounds 1 to 9 he played and just wasn't setting the world on fire, hadn't found great touch, went back to the twos, and returned in round 14. Okay numbers, he had the 15 touches, 6 tackles, and I think it was 71 SuperCoach points, so nothing too amazing. But rounds 15 to 23 is where the spike in his numbers really came, and he was playing run with roles on some of the comp's best players, Mitchell and some of the other likes of the very top midfielders, and working off them as well. And I guess you can learn so much when you do play on those gun midfielders, but one of the things is that you're going to find the ball naturally. He's a hard tackler, inside beast. Through much of his junior career, he was spoken about eventually being a very good inside mid, hard nose, going to get that opportunity. Didn't get that opportunity for the first couple of seasons, and Beveridge obviously felt the need to, trial him through there, switch things up, because the Dogs had a bit of a poor season, and he was one of the shining lights that came out of it. Now, rounds 1 to 9, he averaged 15.8 disposals, 5.8 of which were contested, 5.2 tackles. He is a known tackler. I think almost in any position he's the sort of guy who does lay quite a lot of tackles. Clearances, just a 1.2 over the first 9 rounds, and that's a pretty defining stat, 77.1 SuperCoach points. Now, I've gone from round 15 to 23, so we've just taken out that round 14 where he returned and just had okay numbers. I mean, regardless, if you wanted to include round 14, they're still pretty good numbers, but the real juicy stuff, rounds 15 to 23, he bumped his disposals from the 15 mark right up to 25.9, 9.9 contested, 6 tackles per game, 3.7 clearances a game, and 104.2 SuperCoach average, including, I think it was a 157 late in the season. So really big stuff. So I guess you might be asking, well, Shorty, why is he not in your team? You've just pumped him right up, yet off the top you're telling me he's not in your side. Well, a couple of things that maybe we should be concerned about is he is young, just the 43 games, and that sample size is not very large. So that's something I think we should always consider. I think we've all been a victim of taking 8 to 9 to 10 games of the previous season and almost hoping that they can replicate that for the whole season. Sometimes it has worked, but we are requiring a bit of a jump in that average. 95 overall was very good, but I think he is still young, and all signs point to him eventually developing into a star. But we will need to see just exactly how that Bulldogs midfield looks through the pre-season. I think it's pretty confident and pretty fair to say that he'll be in there. But there are a few moving parts. The Dogs in particular, have been a side that Beveridge seems to like to throw things around a little bit. There's a few different elements to it. You've obviously got Liberatore, and Wallace is another guy that, has sort of been in and out of certain positions, and where do they exactly play, and he's not afraid to throw the magnets around, that's for sure. but I think we can say with a reasonable amount of confidence that he'll be in there. But it's just always worth looking at and providing a bit of a word of warning that it's only 9 or 10 games, that average. We shouldn't be expecting him to average 105 just off that small little snippet. He might have just been running red hot, amazing form, unbelievable stuff, was in the zone. Will he be in that similar zone? They've got to get through the pre-season, no niggles, and still find that position. So I think he's one to watch through the pre-season. And I do like that the forward line is proving a little tough. At the moment I've got Wingard probably in front of him. He's in instead of him. I wouldn't say necessarily in front because I don't have an amazing amount of confidence with Wingard either. But I think the forward line is proving difficult. I feel Dangerfield and Heaney are absolute locks. And then you can throw a blanket over a lot of players that may or may not have outstanding seasons, but have certainly shown a lot of glimpses over the journey. And Dunkley and Wingard, certainly come into that category. So I'm definitely positive about his prospects. I think he's a very talented player. I always enjoy that their junior football was played in a certain position. They haven't been able to play that position for the entirety of their career. They do that hard work and then reap the rewards when they do sort of mature a bit, get those games under the belt, particularly being an inside mid. I don't think we see too many guys, aside from maybe Paddy Cripps and Fife and the like, who just come in and can really play dominant inside mid very, very early in their careers. I think Dunkley's done that apprenticeship, and I think we'll see some really strong numbers in 2019. I do have about 50k in the bank to just move up to Dunkley if I wanted to, but I will just, at the minute, we don't need to be cementing any blokes in. We've still got the best part of 35 days to play with, so I think we will certainly just see what develops over the pre-season. I am scheduling this video, so I believe I will have had my team reveal by now if I'm nice and organised and get this done. So hopefully, if you haven't already, go and check that out. But certainly let me know what you think of Dunkley. We've certainly seen a lot of talented youngsters that have had very good snippets to the previous year not always translate to what we have hoped. But equally, there are times where it's like, well, there's the little indication of what they can produce. They're going to be there, so get on board while they're probably 50, 60, 70 Ks under what they really should be priced at. So it's often one of the two. Well, it's always one of the two. It either works or it doesn't. But I do feel that Dunkley is one of the more promising youngsters in the competition. And certainly, even though he's not cheap, we're paying 500k. I still think he's a guy who, as the numbers suggest, is very, very capable and a bit of a no-frills play. He's going to get in there, win it in the contest. He's always going to tackle hard, and those numbers or those statistics always translate to great numbers in the SuperCoach world. So let me know what you think. I know he's been very popular, so he's probably in quite a few teams out there. Let me know what you're thinking, and as always, suggest a few players if you would like me to preview them. I won't get round to all of them, but I'll certainly endeavour to get round to most and the more popular ones. So thanks for listening. I'll be in touch. Cheers.